Welcome, dear friends, to another cozy night of stories. Tonight, we journey to the heart of Asgard, where the gods reside and magic hums in the air. Our tale, The Treasures of the Gods, unwraps a fascinating mystery. How did the mighty Thor come to wield his legendary hammer, Mjolnir? It all begins with a mischievous trickster, a challenge, and the skilled hands of dwarves. Get ready to discover the secrets behind these magnificent treasures as we settle in for tonight's adventure. But just before we begin, if our stories help you drift off, please tap the like and subscribe buttons. In my channel, you can find Norse, Greek, and Egyptian mythology tales. Comment and tell me which myth you'd like to hear next. Your support helps us craft and shape more calm stories for fellow night owls. And now let your shoulders sink softly into the mattress and your mind drift into today's tale. The golden light of Asgard softened. It painted the clouds in hues of rose and violet. A gentle breeze whispered through the branches of Yggdrasil. All was peaceful, or so it seemed. Yet a restless energy stirred. It belonged to Loki, the trickster god. He found himself utterly bored. Idleness was a heavy cloak upon him. He craved diversion, a spark of mischief. His gaze drifted across the silent halls. He saw the sleeping forms of the gods. Then his eyes fell upon Sif. She slept soundly, her golden hair spread like a sunbeam. It cascaded over her pillow. A wicked idea began to bloom. It unfurled in Loki's mind. He smiled a thin, knowing smile. He would play a little prank. It would be a harmless bit of fun. Quietly, he drew near her. His steps made no sound. He produced a pair of shears. They gleamed faintly in the dim light. Then, with swift, silent movements, he began to cut. Golden strands fell to the floor. They piled like husks of corn. Sif's glorious hair shortened. It became a tangled, messy stubble. Loki stifled a laugh. He felt a thrill of triumph. He slipped away as silently as he had come. His heart thumped with excitement. He had done it. He had committed a truly audacious act. He wondered how long it would take. The sun began its slow ascent. Its first rays touched Asgard. Sif awoke with a yawn. She stretched languidly in her bed. Then she reached up to touch her hair. Her fingers met rough, short stubs. Her eyes flew open wide. A gasp escaped her lips. Her golden tresses were gone. They had vanished in the night. A cry of anguish tore through the morning air. It echoed through the hall of the gods. Thor heard it instantly. His wife's distress was unmistakable. He rose with a thunderous roar. His mighty hammer, Mjolnir, vibrated. It hummed with his growing rage. He knew only one god. That god possessed such audacious nerve. It could only be Loki. Thor stormed through the halls. His face was a mask of fury. His strides shook the very foundations. He sought out his mischievous brother. Loki often went too far. Loki, meanwhile, had anticipated this. He was already hiding. He knew Thor's temper well. He had often felt its brunt. This time, it would be worse. He heard the booming footsteps. He heard the enraged shouts. Loki squeezed himself tighter. He hid behind a massive pillar. He held his breath, listening. Thor's voice reverberated. It shook the very stone. "Loki, you coward, show yourself." Each word was a clap of thunder. The air crackled with his wrath. Loki trembled slightly. He knew he was in trouble. He had truly angered the thunder god. This prank had gone too far. He needed a quick escape. He heard Thor's frustrated grunts. The god was searching. He was overturning furniture. He was tearing through tapestries. Loki knew he had little time. Suddenly, a massive hand reached in. It grabbed Loki by the scruff. Thor pulled him out roughly. Loki dangled, helpless. His feet dangled above the floor. Thor's eyes blazed with fury. They were like twin storm clouds. "What have you done to Sif?" he roared. "Her beautiful hair. It is ruined." Loki stammered, trying to speak. His usual wit failed him. He felt the immense power. Thor's grip was like a vice. He could barely breathe. I had no intention," Loki began. His words were weak. It was a small jest. He knew it sounded hollow. He knew it was a lie. Thor tightened his grip. "A jest? You call this a jest?" His voice deepened. "You shame her. You shame all of Asgard." He lifted Mjolnir slightly. Loki's eyes widened in fear. He knew that gesture. It meant extreme pain. He had to think quickly. His life depended on it. "Wait, brother, wait," Loki pleaded. His voice was desperate. "I can fix it. I swear it." He saw a flicker of hesitation. It was a small chance. Thor paused, his hammer still raised. "Fix it? How?" His voice was still menacing. "Her hair is gone. It will not grow back." "I will find a replacement," Loki promised. His mind raced. Something even more beautiful. Something truly magnificent. He spoke with conviction. Thor narrowed his eyes. He considered the words. "More beautiful than Sif's golden hair. That is a bold claim." He still looked unconvinced. "I will go to the dwarves," Loki blurted out. The words came quickly. "They are master craftsmen. They can forge anything." He saw a glimmer of hope. Thor slowly lowered Mjolnir. His grip on Loki loosened. The dwarves. Their skill is legendary. He seemed to ponder this. What could they create? "Treasures beyond imagination," Loki boasted. His confidence returned. Hair of pure gold, perhaps, or something even grander. He puffed out his chest. Thor watched him skeptically. "You truly believe this?" He seemed to doubt Loki's sincerity. "You often speak empty words." "I will prove it," Loki declared. He had to convince him. "I will bring back wonders. They will astonish all of Asgard." He looked Thor in the eye. Thor finally released him. Loki dropped to the floor. He rubbed his neck, relieved. He had bought himself time, but he had made a grand promise. Word of Loki's mischief spread. It flew through Asgard. The other gods heard the tale. They gathered in the great hall. Curiosity filled their faces. Odin sat on his throne. His single eye surveyed the scene. He listened to Loki's boasts. He heard his grand pronouncements. A knowing smile touched his lips. So, Loki, you seek treasures. Odin's voice was calm. You promise wonders to replace Sif's hair. He looked at the trickster god. Loki bowed low. Indeed, Allfather. He spoke with false humility. I shall bring forth marvels. They will enhance Asgard's glory. Some gods scoffed openly. Others exchanged doubtful glances. Loki's reputation preceded him. His promises were often empty. His schemes often backfired. Heimdall, the ever-vigilant, spoke. The dwarves are reclusive. Their craftsmanship is guarded. It will not be an easy task. His voice was grave. Loki waved a dismissive hand. Nonsense. I have charm. I have wit. I will persuade them easily. He puffed out his chest again. Frigg, Odin's wise wife, spoke. The dwarves are shrewd. They demand fair trade. What will you offer them in return? Her eyes were knowing. Loki paused, considering. He hadn't thought that far. My cleverness, of course. My persuasive tongue. He tried to sound confident. His words were met with silence. The gods looked unconvinced. They knew the dwarves valued skill. They valued true artistry. They did not value empty words. Suddenly, a voice spoke up. It was quieter than the others. Perhaps a competition then. It belonged to Sindri. He was a master dwarf. Sindri and his brother, Brokkr, had arrived. They had entered unnoticed. They often visited Asgard. They traded their fine wares. They were known for their skill. Brokkr, the stronger of the two, nodded. Indeed, a competition. Let Loki prove his boasts. His eyes held a challenge. They gleamed with quiet pride. Loki turned to them. He feigned surprise. Ah, Sindri and Brokkr, what brings you here? He knew their reputation well. Their skill was unmatched. Sindri stepped forward. His expression was serious. We heard your grand claims. You speak of treasures. Treasures surpassing all others. He paused, looking at Loki. They are not mere boasts, Loki declared. He held their gaze. I shall bring forth wonders. Wonders that will amaze even you. He felt a thrill of excitement. Brokkr chuckled softly. Amuse us, perhaps, but amaze. That is a tall order. His voice was deep. His eyes sparkled with mischief. We dwarves are masters, Sindri stated. His voice was firm. Our hands create perfection. Our forges burn with magic. He gestured to himself. Loki's pride flared. He hated to be challenged, especially by dwarves. He saw an opportunity. He could prove his cleverness. Then let us wager, Loki proposed. His voice rang out. Let us see whose treasures are truly superior. He looked around at the gods. Odin raised an eyebrow. He watched the scene unfold. This could be interesting. It could be very entertaining. He remained silent. Sindri and Brokkr exchanged glances. They seemed to consider this. A slow smile spread across Brocker's face. A wager, you say? Indeed, Loki pressed on. If I bring forth treasures, treasures more magnificent than any you create, then you must acknowledge my skill. He spoke boldly. And if you fail, Sindri asked. His voice was calm. If our creations surpass yours, what then, trickster god? His eyes held a knowing glint. Loki hesitated for a moment. He hadn't thought of failure, but his pride pushed him. He had to uphold his boast. He had to be bold. If I fail, Loki declared, then you may take my head. The words hung in the air. A gasp went through the hall. Even Thor looked shocked. Odin's single eye widened. This was a dangerous wager, but it was Loki's choice. He would not interfere. Sindri and Brocker looked at each other. They nodded slowly. This was a serious stake. This was a true challenge. Loki had risked everything. Agreed, Sindri said. His voice was firm. Your head, Loki, if you fail, against our finest creations. He extended a hand. Loki shook it firmly. A cold shiver ran through him. He had truly gambled. He had put his life on the line, but he was confident. He would outwit them. He always did. He would bring back wonders, wonders that would save his head. He would prove his cleverness. The dwarves turned to leave. They had heard enough. They had their challenge. They had their wager. They would begin their work. Loki watched them go. A knot formed in his stomach. He had to act quickly. He had to find something truly special, something truly magnificent. He looked at Thor, who still seemed stunned. Do not worry, brother, Loki said. His voice was forced. I will return victorious. He hoped his words were true. Thor merely grunted. He still looked doubtful. His anger had faded. Now, concern creased his brow. Loki had stepped into a trap. Loki turned and left the hall. He had a mission. He had a deadline. He had to find the finest treasures. He had to save his head. The journey to Svartalfheim. That was his first step. The realm of the dark elves. The home of the dwarves. The place of deep forges. He began to plan his strategy. He would use his cunning. He would use his charm. He would manipulate the dwarves. He would get what he wanted. He would seek out the master smiths. He would flatter them. He would promise them glory. He would promise them fame. He would get them to forge. He knew their love of craftsmanship. He knew their pride. He would appeal to that. He would make them believe. He would make them create. The air grew heavy around him. It felt charged with magic. He was entering a new realm. A realm of fire and metal. A realm of ancient power. He walked with purpose now. No longer bored. No longer idle. His mind buzzed with ideas. His heart pounded with anticipation. The game had begun. His life depended on it. His very head was at stake. He knew the dwarves were skilled. But Loki believed in himself. He believed in his wit. He would find the treasures. He would bring them back. He would present them to the gods. He would win the wager. He would save his head. Sif would have her hair, or something even better. He promised himself that. He would make things right, at least for himself. The sun was setting now. Its light faded from Asgard. Darkness began to creep in. Loki walked into the shadows. He walked towards his destiny. And so, Loki began his journey. He left the shimmering halls of Asgard. A whisper of wind carried him downward. He sought the realm of Svartalfheim. This was a deep place, far below the sun. It was home to the dwarves, master craftspeople. Their hammers echoed through the rock. Their forges glowed with a fierce heat. Loki descended through shadowed passages. The air grew thick with the smell of metal. It hummed with hidden magic. He felt the ancient stone around him. Loki sought out a particular family. They were known as the Sons of Ivaldi. Their skill was legendary. Their hands could shape anything. They could coax beauty from raw stone. They could weave magic into cold metal. Loki knew their reputation well. He planned his approach carefully. He found their workshop. It was a cavernous space. Sparks danced in the dim light. Furnaces roared softly. Hammers struck in rhythmic beats. Dwarf figures moved with purpose. They were strong and stocky. Their eyes gleamed with intelligence. These were true artisans. Loki entered with a flourish. He projected an air of importance. He smiled warmly, disarmingly. He bowed low to the Sons of Ivaldi. They paused their work. They looked up, their faces curious. They watched him with steady gazes. "Greetings, masters of the forge," Loki began. His voice was smooth as silk. "I come from Asgard itself." He paused for effect. "I bring a message from the gods." The dwarves shifted slightly. Their expressions remained unreadable. They listened intently. They were accustomed to strange visitors, but few came from Asgard. "The gods speak of your craft," Loki continued. He poured on the praise. "They speak of your unparalleled skill." He gestured expansively. "Your artistry is unmatched." He made sure to flatter them. He spoke of Odin's wisdom. He mentioned Thor's strength. He spoke of Freya's beauty. Each god, he implied, admired the dwarves. They craved their magnificent creations. They yearned for treasures. Indeed, Loki pressed on. The gods seek gifts. His eyes sparkled mischievously. Gifts of extraordinary beauty. He leaned inconspiratorially. Gifts that reflect their glory. He exaggerated their desire. He made it sound urgent. He described the splendor of Asgard. He painted vivid pictures. He spoke of feasts and celebrations. He hinted at grand tributes. He suggested immense rewards. The dwarves listened, intrigued. Their eyes held a flicker of interest. Loki then mentioned a specific need. "The goddess Sif, alas," he sighed. His voice held false sorrow. "Her beautiful hair," he paused dramatically. "It has been tragically lost." He feigned deep concern. A most unfortunate prank, truly. He conveniently omitted his own role. "The gods are deeply saddened," Loki insisted. He wrung his hands slightly. They yearned for her restoration. He looked directly at the sons of Ivaldi. Only your skill can help her. He made it sound like a divine plea. He appealed to their pride. He spoke of their reputation. He spoke of their honor. He challenged their ingenuity. Could they create hair from gold? Hair that felt real. Hair that grew naturally. The sons of Ivaldi exchanged glances. This was a unique challenge. Their minds began to churn. Their fingers twitched with anticipation. They saw the artistic potential. They considered the materials. "We shall consider your request," one dwarf rumbled. His voice was deep and gravelly. He was the eldest. He was the most respected. "It is a complex task." Loki smiled inwardly. His plan was unfolding. He knew their creative spirit. He knew their desire for recognition. He had planted the seed. He had stoked their ambition. He then presented another idea. Beyond Sif's plight, he mused. He paced thoughtfully. The gods also desire new wonders. He spoke of Freya, the god of fertility. He spoke of his need for a vessel. "Imagine a ship," Loki proposed. His eyes gleamed. "A ship that sails on land and sea." He spun a tale of its magic. "A ship that can fold into a pocket." He made it sound impossible. He made it sound grand. The dwarves' eyes widened. This was a true marvel. This was a test of their limits. They envisioned the mechanics. They considered the materials. They pondered the enchantments. And one more gift, Loki suggested. For Freya also, he added, a companion for his journeys. He envisioned something magnificent. A boar, perhaps. He let the idea hang. But not just any boar, Loki clarified. His voice dropped to a whisper. A boar of pure gold. He described its bristles. They should glow with divine light. He made it sound alive. It should pull his chariot. The sons of Ivaldi listened intently. Their faces were alight. These were challenges worthy of them. These were tasks that would earn renown. They saw the glory. They saw the prestige. They conferred amongst themselves. Their voices were low and rumbling. They discussed designs. They debated techniques. They spoke of rare metals. They spoke of ancient spells. Loki watched them, pleased. His deception was working. He had stoked their competitive spirit. He had invoked their pride. He had set them to work. He had set them against each other. The eldest dwarf turned to Loki. "We accept your challenge," he stated. His voice was firm. "We shall craft these treasures." He nodded once, decisively. "For the glory of Asgard." Loki bowed again. "Excellent," he declared. His smile was genuine now. "The gods will be most grateful." He subtly emphasized the most. He hinted at rivalries. And so, the sons of Ivaldi began their work. Their workshop buzzed with activity. Hammers rang against anvils. Furnaces blazed with intense heat. Magic flowed through their skilled hands. They first tackled Sif's hair. They melted the purest gold. They spun it into impossibly fine strands. Each strand was imbued with life. Each strand felt soft and real. It flowed like sunlight. It shimmered with warmth. They worked with meticulous care. They shaped each golden hair. They ensured it would grow. It would feel natural. It would restore Sif's beauty. It would be a wonder. Next, they turned to Skidbladnir. This was Freya's ship. They selected the finest wood. It was light and strong. They carved its hull with precision. They imbued it with enchantments. The ship could truly sail the air. It could glide over land. It could traverse the deepest seas. And it had an astonishing ability. It could fold itself. It could shrink down small. It could fit in a pouch. It was a marvel of engineering. It was a testament to their craft. Finally, they created Gullinbursti. This was Freya's golden boar. They forged its body from shimmering gold. They crafted each bristle with care. Each bristle glowed with an inner light. It radiated warmth. It pulsed with energy. The boar was strong and swift. It could run faster than the wind. It pulled Freya's chariot. It illuminated his path. It was a magnificent beast. It was a symbol of abundance. The sons of Ivaldi worked tirelessly. Day and night blurred into one. Their focus was absolute. Their dedication was unwavering. They poured their hearts into these creations. They poured their magic into these gifts. At last, the treasures were complete. They gleamed in the workshop's light. Sif's golden hair lay coiled. It shimmered like spun sunlight. Skidbladnir, the ship, rested quietly. It seemed to hum with power. Gullinbursti, the boar, stood proudly. Its golden bristles pulsed. Loki returned to the workshop. He surveyed their work. His eyes widened slightly. Even he was impressed. The dwarves had exceeded expectations. They had crafted true wonders. Magnificent, Loki exclaimed. His voice held genuine awe. These are truly divine. He picked up the golden hair. It felt soft and warm. It glowed in his hands. He admired Skidbladnir. He touched its smooth hull. He imagined its flight. He envisioned its journey. He saw its potential. He saw its magic. He marveled at Gullinbursti. Its golden bristles pulsed softly. It seemed ready to leap. It embodied strength. It embodied light. It embodied magic. The gods will be overjoyed, Loki declared. His smile broadened. He gathered the treasures carefully. He thanked the sons of Ivaldi. He promised them great honor. He promised them lasting fame. He ascended from Svartalfheim. He carried his precious cargo. He returned to the Golden City. He returned to Asgard's halls. He was ready for his presentation. He was ready for his triumph. He found the gods assembled. They were gathered in the great hall. Odin sat on his throne. Thor stood nearby. Freya was present. Sif looked sadly down. Loki entered with a flourish. He held the treasures aloft. The golden hair gleamed. The small ship rested in his palm. The miniature boar pulsed with light. "Behold," Loki announced loudly. His voice echoed through the hall. "I bring gifts from the dwarves." He presented Sif's hair first. He bowed low to her. "My dear Sif," he began. His voice was falsely contrite. "I have remedied your loss." He offered her the golden hair. It shimmered with life. It glowed with warmth. Sif gasped softly. She took the hair gently. She placed it upon her head. Instantly, it affixed itself. It grew into luxuriant locks. It flowed down her shoulders. It was more beautiful than before. It shone like the sun itself. The gods murmured in awe. Sif smiled radiantly. She ran her fingers through the golden strands. It felt completely real. It felt completely natural. Next, Loki presented Skidbladnir. He held it up for all to see. "For Freya," he announced. "A ship unlike any other." He explained its magic. He explained its abilities. Freya approached, curious. He took the small ship. He watched as Loki demonstrated. The ship expanded with a whisper. It grew to full size. It floated in the air. It hummed with power. Then, with another touch, it shrunk down. It became small enough. It fit in Freya's hand. It could fit in his pocket. Freya's eyes lit up. He was delighted. Finally, Loki presented Gullinbursti. He placed the small boar on the floor. "And for Freya also," he declared, "a companion for his journeys." He tapped its golden hide. The boar instantly grew. It stood tall and proud. Its golden bristles pulsed. They radiated a soft light. It snorted gently. It seemed alive. It seemed ready for adventure. Freya embraced the golden boar. He stroked its glowing bristles. He felt its warmth. He felt its power. He was truly pleased. He thanked Loki profusely. The gods were impressed. A ripple of wonder spread. Loki had delivered. He had brought magnificent gifts. He had restored Sif's beauty. He had gifted Freya wonders. Some gods applauded. Some offered praise. Odin nodded gravely. He watched Loki closely. He saw the cunning. He saw the charm. He saw the deception. But not all were impressed. Two figures watched from the shadows. They were two other dwarves. They were brothers, Brokkr and Sindri. Their faces were stern. Their eyes were piercing. They recognized the slight. They recognized the challenge. They were known for their own skill. They were known for their own craft. They saw Loki's boasting. They saw his arrogance. They heard his claims of superiority. They felt the sting of competition. A seed of rivalry was planted. A challenge was silently issued. Brokkr and Sindri exchanged glances. They had a plan forming. They had their own ideas. They had their own intentions. Loki, however, was oblivious. He basked in the gods' praise. He savored his triumph. He believed he had won. He believed his position was secure. He believed he was cleverest of all. But the world of the gods was ever-changing, and challenges often came from unexpected places, and pride often preceded a fall. And so the story continued. And so the night deepened. And so, you may drift to sleep. Brokkr and Sindri stood firm, their resolve hardened. Loki's arrogance had stung them deeply. They would prove their worth now, their hammers would sing. The contest was set, their honor was on the line. Their workshop lay deep underground. It was a cavern of ancient stone, cool and quiet. A single, flickering torch cast long shadows. The air smelled of earth and old metal. This was their domain, their creative sanctuary. Sindri, the elder dwarf, gestured towards the forge. Its embers glowed faintly, a promise of heat. Brokkr, strong and silent, nodded once. He understood the unspoken command. This task required focus. It demanded perfection. Brokkr, Sindri's voice, was a low rumble. The bellows must be constant. He picked up a small, heavy lump of gold. It shimmered softly in the dim light. No fluctuations, no wavering now. Brokkr gripped the bellows handle. His knuckles were thick, scarred from years of labor. He knew the rhythm of the fire. He knew its hunger, its need for air. This was his part, his crucial contribution. Sindri carefully placed the gold into the crucible. It nestled amongst the glowing coals. The heat began to embrace it, slowly, gently. A soft hum filled the workshop. It was the sound of preparation, of impending creation. The heat must be even, Sindri murmured. He watched the gold intently. We seek a perfect melt, a flawless flow. His eyes, dark as polished obsidian, never left the crucible. They held generations of knowledge, of dwarven artistry. Brokkr began to pump the bellows. A soft sigh escaped them. The embers brightened, a fiery breath. The hum grew louder, a steady thrum. He found his rhythm quickly, a practiced, steady motion. The air in the workshop grew warmer. It was a gentle warmth, not yet oppressive. The scent of hot metal began to emerge. It mingled with the earthy smell, a unique blend. This was the smell of dwarven magic, of industry and craft. Sindri took up his tongs. They were long and slender, perfectly balanced. He waited for the opportune moment. The gold began to soften, a molten pool. It swirled gently within the crucible. Steady, Brokkr, Sindri instructed. His voice remained calm. Keep the air flowing, keep the flame true. He watched the gold transform. It was becoming liquid light, pure and vibrant. Brokkr's arm muscles flexed. The bellows moved in and out. His brow was furrowed in concentration. He felt the warmth on his face. He heard the roar of the fire, a powerful symphony. Loki, meanwhile, had found his way inside. He was a tiny fly, buzzing almost imperceptibly. His eyes, sharp and malicious, darted around. He sought an opening, a moment of weakness. He craved their failure, their utter humiliation. The fly landed on Brokkr's wrist. It was a tiny prick, a momentary distraction. Brokkr barely noticed it. His focus was absolute, his attention unwavering. The bellows continued their steady motion. Loki buzzed away in frustration. This dwarf was too absorbed. He needed a better target, a more sensitive spot. His tiny wings beat furiously. He circled Brocker's head, searching for an opportunity. Sindri, oblivious to Loki's presence, began to pour. The molten gold flowed like liquid sunlight. It streamed into a waiting mold. The mold was intricately carved, a masterpiece of dwarven design. The gold filled the mold completely. It gleamed with an inner light. A soft hiss escaped as it settled. The air shimmered above it slightly. This was the beginning, the very first stage. Now the cooling, Sindri announced. He set the mold aside gently. Patience is key now, careful work. He wiped his hands on a leather apron. His movements were precise, economical. Brocker continued with the bellows. The fire still needed tending. It was a living thing demanding respect. He understood this implicitly. His ancestors had taught him well. Loki landed on Brocker's ear. He stung him sharply. Brocker flinched, a sudden, involuntary jerk. The bellows faltered, just for an instant. A small puff of smoke rose from the forge. Sindri's head snapped up. His eyes narrowed slightly. He looked at Brocker with concern. "What was that, brother?" His voice held a hint of worry. "Did you lose your rhythm?" Brocker rubbed his ear. "A fly," he grunted. His face was a mask of annoyance. "A pesky little thing." He resumed his steady pumping. His rhythm returned immediately. Sindri returned to the mold. He picked it up carefully. The gold had solidified now. It was cool to the touch. He began to work on it with small, delicate tools. The sound of tiny hammers filled the air. Sindri was shaping the metal. He was refining its form, perfecting its curves. Each tap was precise, each stroke intentional. This was the artistry, the true magic. Loki, still buzzing, watched from a distance. He was vexed by their skill. This was proving harder than he thought. He needed a greater disruption, a more significant sabotage. His tiny fly brain whirred with schemes. Sindri worked tirelessly. His brow was furrowed in concentration. He added intricate details. He polished the surface gently. The metal began to shine, a soft, golden glow. Brocker maintained the fire. He kept its embers alive. The heat was crucial still. It allowed Sindri to work. He was the anchor, the steady foundation. The workshop was quiet again. Only the tap, tap, tap of Sindri's hammer, and the steady sigh of Brocker's bellows. It was a symphony of creation, a harmonious dance. Loki, growing desperate, flew directly at Brocker's eye. He stung him hard. Brocker cried out. He jerked violently. The bellows flew from his grasp. They clattered to the stone floor. The fire sputtered, its light dimmed. Smoke billowed from the forge. Sindri looked up sharply. His eyes blazed with anger. Brocker, his voice cracked like thunder. What happened? Brocker clutched his eye. "The fly," he roared. "It stung my eye." He tried to rub the pain away. His vision was blurred, watering. Sindri dropped his tools. He rushed to Brocker's side. "Are you well?" he asked urgently. His concern was palpable. "Can you see?" "I am fine," Brocker grumbled. He blinked rapidly. "Just a nasty sting." He bent down to retrieve the bellows. His hands trembled slightly. Sindri glanced around the workshop. He saw nothing. Yet, he felt a strange presence. A prickling sensation on his skin. He suspected foul play. He suspected Loki. "We must be vigilant," Sindri warned. His voice was low. "Loki will stop at nothing." He returned to his work. His movements were now sharper, more determined. Brocker resumed his task. He pumped the bellows with renewed vigor. His anger fueled his strength. He would not let Loki win. He would not let them fail. The fire roared back to life. Its flames danced high. The workshop was bathed in golden light. The air grew thick with heat. The rhythm returned, strong and steady. Sindri worked with furious precision. His fingers moved like lightning. He added the final touches. The golden object gleamed. It was a ring, a magnificent arm ring. He held it up carefully. It was perfectly circular. Its surface was smooth and flawless. It glowed with an inner warmth. This was their first creation, their powerful offering. "It is done," Sindri announced. His voice was filled with pride. Draupnir, the golden ring. He looked at Brocker. "Your efforts were essential." Brocker, wiping his brow, nodded. He admired the ring. It was truly beautiful, a testament to their skill, a symbol of their unwavering dedication. Sindri turned the ring over in his hand. He explained its magic. "Every 9th night now," he began, 8 new rings will drop." His voice was hushed, reverent. "Identical to this one, perfect replicas." Brocker's eyes widened. He stared at the ring. That was incredible magic. That was truly spectacular. This was a gift fit for a king, fit for Odin himself. The workshop felt triumphant. A quiet victory had been won. Despite Loki's interference, despite the painful stings, they had persevered, they had triumphed. Sindri carefully placed Draupnir in a velvet pouch. He tied the strings securely. This treasure was precious. It was a testament to their mastery. It would be presented with honor. Brocker extinguished the fire. The embers died down slowly. The workshop grew dark again. Only the faint glow of the ring remained, a promise of future wonders. They cleaned their tools meticulously. Each hammer, each tong. They returned them to their proper places. Order was maintained, respect for their craft. Sindri looked at Brocker. "One down," he said softly. 2 more to go." His eyes held a spark of anticipation. "We will show them. We will prove our worth." Brocker nodded in agreement. His face was grim. He remembered Loki's mocking words. He remembered the sting in his eye. This was personal now, a matter of honor. They left the workshop in silence. The heavy stone door swung shut. The darkness enveloped it once more, but within, the magic of Draupnir lingered, a silent hum of power. The air outside was cool and crisp. The stars twinkled faintly. A new day would soon begin, and with it, new challenges. But for now, a sense of accomplishment. Draupnir, the golden arm ring, rested safely. Its magic was potent, its beauty undeniable. It was a gift of abundance, a symbol of wealth and power, a true treasure of the gods. Sindri and Brokkr walked side by side. Their steps were firm and purposeful. They had faced a challenge. They had overcome adversity. They were ready for the next forging. The first treasure was complete. It shone with its own light. It carried the essence of their skill. It embodied their dedication. It was a masterpiece, forged in fire. The memory of Loki's fly form still lingered. The sharp sting in Brokkr's ear, the painful jab in his eye. But they had not yielded. They had pushed through the pain. Their bond had strengthened. Their resolve was unwavering. The contest was far from over, but they had made a powerful statement. Their craftsmanship was superior. Draupnir lay hidden now, waiting for its grand reveal. Its magical properties were secret. Only the dwarves knew its true power, a power that would astonish the gods, the first jewel in their crown of treasures, a testament to their quiet strength, a promise of more wonders to come. The dwarves were ready. They were prepared. The journey was long. The path was arduous, but their goal was clear: to prove their worth, to humble the arrogant Loki, to earn their rightful place. The golden ring pulsed softly, a silent beat of power. It awaited its destiny. It awaited its divine owner. It was a gift of light, a gift of endless wealth. Brokkr felt a deep satisfaction. His muscles ached, but his spirit was strong. He had played his part. He had contributed to greatness. He had helped create magic. Sindri felt a surge of pride. His creation was flawless. It was a testament to his art. He was a master craftsman. His hands shaped destiny. The story of Draupnir would be told. Its magic would be known. It would adorn the arm of a powerful god. It would signify abundance. It would stand for prosperity. The dwarves had done well. Their first task was complete. The workshop was quiet now, waiting for the next heat, waiting for the next creation, waiting for the next challenge. The night was peaceful. The stars shone brightly. A gentle breeze whispered. The world slept soundly. But underground, a new magic had been born. A golden wonder. Draupnir, the ring that multiplies. A symbol of endless bounty. A testament to dwarven ingenuity. A treasure beyond compare. A gift truly divine. The brothers rested now. Their work was done for the moment, but their minds were already planning the next great creation, the next powerful artifact. Loki's tricks had failed. His sabotage was thwarted. The dwarves had overcome. Their determination was fierce. Their skill was unmatched. The golden ring pulsed, a silent promise of 8 new rings every 9th night, a miracle of creation, a marvel of dwarven craft. The air in the workshop hummed a low, contented sound. Sindri and Brocker stood together. A quiet triumph settled between them. They had done it. They had forged a wonder, but their task was not yet complete. Loki watched from the shadows. His fly form buzzed with frustration. The golden hair, it shimmered. It proved their skill. He had to try harder. He had to disrupt their focus. He had to stop them. Sindri turned, his eyes bright. "Brother," he said, his voice soft, "we have more work." He gestured to the remaining gold. It gleamed in the dim light. "Another gift awaits." Brocker nodded, his expression steady. He wiped his brow. A bead of sweat traced a path. The heat was immense, but his spirit was unyielding. He was ready for the next challenge. Sindri approached the furnace. Its maw glowed fiercely. He held a large ingot of gold. It was heavy, substantial. This would be their next creation. This would be truly magnificent. He carefully placed the gold inside. The flames roared around it. They licked at the precious metal. The gold began to soften. It began to melt. It became a liquid pool. "Maintain the airflow, Brocker," Sindri instructed. His voice was calm. It was precise. "Keep it steady. Keep it strong. This is crucial." Brocker moved to the bellows. He gripped the handles firmly. His muscles tensed. He began to pump. A rhythmic whoosh filled the workshop. The air rushed into the furnace. The flames intensified. They danced with renewed vigor. The gold shimmered brighter. It swirled with molten beauty. It was a river of liquid sun. It promised something grand. Loki saw his chance. Brocker's hands were occupied. His attention was on the bellows. His neck was exposed. It was a tempting target. Loki buzzed closer. He formulated his plan. He circled Brocker's head. His tiny fly wings whirred. They created a faint hum. Brocker did not notice. He was focused on his task. He was lost in the rhythm. Loki descended swiftly. He aimed for Brocker's neck. He landed with a tiny thud. Then he delivered his sting. It was sharp. It was sudden. It was painful. Brocker gasped. A jolt ran through him. His hand twitched. He almost faltered. The rhythm of the bellows nearly broke, but he caught himself. He gritted his teeth. A burning sensation spread. It radiated from the sting site. It was an intense itch. It was a fiery prickle. He wanted to scratch it. He wanted to rub it, but he could not. He pressed his lips together. He forced himself to ignore the pain. He forced himself to maintain his grip. The bellows continued their steady motion. The air flowed smoothly. Sindri glanced at him. His brow furrowed slightly. "Are you well, brother?" he asked. His voice held concern. He sensed the slight hesitation. He noticed Brocker's tightened jaw. "I am well, Brocker replied. His voice was strained, but it was firm. Just a minor irritation. He did not elaborate. He did not want to worry Sindri. He would endure. Loki buzzed away, triumphant. He hovered near the rafters. He watched Brocker keenly. He expected him to stop. He expected him to succumb. But Brocker did not. The golden liquid boiled. It swirled within the furnace. Sindri watched it carefully. His eyes were trained on the molten metal. He knew the precise moment. He knew when it was ready. He reached for his tongs. They were long and strong. He plunged them into the furnace. He expertly scooped out a portion. The molten gold glowed. It dripped like liquid light. He carried it to the anvil. The metal hissed as he poured it. It began to take shape. It was a rough form at first. It was shapeless, unrefined, but its potential was clear. Brocker continued pumping. His arm ached. The sting throbbed, but he kept his focus. He kept his rhythm. The steady airflow was paramount. He would not fail Sindri. Sindri began to hammer. The mighty hammer rose and fell. It struck the glowing gold. Each blow was deliberate. Each blow was powerful. Each blow shaped the metal. Sparks flew with every strike. They danced in the dim light. They were like tiny golden stars. They illuminated the workshop. They painted streaks of light on the walls. The sound was deafening. Clang, clang, clang. It echoed through the space. It vibrated in Brocker's chest. It was the music of creation. It was the rhythm of their craft. The form began to emerge. It was sleek. It was powerful. It was distinctly animalistic. A snout appeared. Then a sturdy body. Then 4 strong legs. Loki watched, aghast. His plan had failed. Brocker had endured. The creation was progressing. It was taking a definite form. It was almost complete. Sindri worked with fierce concentration. His brow was furrowed. His lips were pressed together. He poured his skill into the metal. He poured his magic into the form. The gold shimmered. It pulsed with an inner light. It was not just metal. It was more. It was imbued with something special. It was becoming something alive. He hammered a final time. The sound resonated. Then he stepped back. He wiped sweat from his brow. He looked at his creation. A small smile touched his lips. "Brocker," he said, his voice soft. "Come and see." Brocker released the bellows. He rubbed his aching arm. He approached the anvil. He looked at the golden form. His eyes widened slightly. A gasp escaped him. There it stood, a boar, but unlike any boar he had ever seen. It was crafted entirely of gold. Its bristles were like fine, spun gold wire. They gleamed with an ethereal light. Its eyes were like polished amber. They seemed to hold a spark of life. Its tusks curved majestically. They were sharp and elegant. They bespoke power. Gullinbursty, Sindri whispered. The name felt right. It flowed from his lips. The golden bristled one. He touched its flank. The gold was warm. It vibrated faintly. It glows, Brocker murmured. He reached out a hand. He hesitated. He did not want to disturb its perfection. He simply stared in wonder. Indeed, Gullinbursti glowed. A soft, warm light emanated from its form. It illuminated the workshop. It chased away the shadows. It was a beacon of golden light. And it runs, Sindri added. His voice held a hint of pride. Faster than any horse. Faster than the wind itself. Over land and sea. Through air and darkness. He gestured to the boar. It will carry its rider swiftly. Through any terrain. No obstacle will impede its path. It is swiftness incarnate. Brocker imagined it. The golden boar streaking across the sky. Its bristles trailing light. Its powerful legs pounding the earth. It was a magnificent vision. Loki's fly form trembled. This was worse than the hare. This was a true marvel. This was a direct challenge. The sons of Ivaldi had made a spear. But this was a living wonder. He felt a surge of panic. His schemes were failing. His mischief was for naught. These dwarves were too skilled. Brocker was too resilient. His stings were useless. Sindri turned to Brocker. Your efforts were vital, he said. His gaze was steady. His appreciation was clear. Your unwavering focus, your endurance. Brocker felt a flush of pride. The pain in his neck still throbbed, but it seemed insignificant now. It was a small price to pay for such a creation, for such a wonder. He looked at Gullinbursti again. The golden boar stood silently. It seemed to breathe. It seemed to wait. It was ready for its purpose. It was ready for the gods. A worthy gift, Brocker finally said. His voice was full of awe. Truly worthy. Sindri smiled. There is one more, he said. He gestured to the last piece of gold. It lay on the workbench. It seemed to call to them. It awaited its transformation. Brocker nodded. He felt a renewed sense of purpose. Despite the aches, despite the pain, he was ready. He was ready for the next forging. He was ready for the final creation. Loki watched them. His tiny fly eyes narrowed. He had underestimated them. He had misjudged their resolve. He would have to try something else. Something far more drastic. The golden light of Gullinbursti filled the workshop. It shimmered on the walls. It reflected in Brocker's eyes. It was a testament to their skill. It was a promise of more to come. The air was still warm. The scent of metal lingered. The echoes of the hammer faded, but the wonder remained. The golden boar stood silent, a silent testament to their magic. Brocker felt a deep satisfaction. This was their craft. This was their purpose, to bring beauty into the world, to create wonders for the gods. He felt a sense of belonging. He glanced at Sindri. His brother was already preparing. He was gathering his tools. His gaze was fixed on the last piece of gold. His mind was already at work. The workshop settled into a quiet hum again. The golden boar stood guard. Its light was soft. It was comforting. It was a silent promise of the next marvel. Brocker stretched his neck. The sting still smarted, but he ignored it. His focus was on the task ahead, on the final creation, on the last gift for the gods. Loki, still buzzing, retreated further. He needed a new plan, a more potent distraction. He could not afford another failure. Not now. Not when so much was at stake. The golden boar seemed to watch him. Its amber eyes seemed to gleam. A silent challenge. A powerful presence. Loki shivered, despite his tiny size. He resolved to be more cunning, more devious. He would not be outsmarted again. He would not be defeated. Not by these simple dwarves. Not by their unwavering spirit. But for now, the workshop was peaceful. The light of Gullinbursty filled the space. It cast long, dancing shadows. It promised dreams of golden speed. It promised wonders yet to come. Brocker moved towards the bellows again. His hands found the familiar handles. He took a deep breath. He prepared himself for the final creation, for the ultimate test. The golden boar stood still. A masterpiece of craftsmanship, a marvel of magic. It waited for its journey. It waited for its purpose. It waited for the gods. The soft glow filled the workshop. It was a constant, gentle light. It was a beacon of their success. It was a testament to their unwavering dedication. The air was still and warm. The metallic tang was comforting. It was the scent of creation. It was the scent of magic. It was the scent of their home. Brocker felt a quiet contentment. This was their art. This was their gift. To shape the world. To bring forth beauty. To create wonders that would last forever. He looked at Sindri. His brother was ready. His eyes held a spark of anticipation. They were ready for the final forging. They were ready for the ultimate test. The workshop hummed with a quiet energy. The golden boar stood sentinel. Its light was a soft lullaby. It promised dreams of swiftness. It promised dreams of light. Now for the last and greatest marvel, the one that would surely win the contest. Sindri moved with quiet purpose. He carefully selected a gleaming bar of iron. It shimmered with a dull, inner glow. This was no ordinary metal. It was iron drawn from the deepest veins of the earth iron that had slept for ages. Sindri placed it gently into the roaring forge. The flames licked at it, eager and hungry. Brocker, Sindri's voice was low. It held a solemn weight. This is it, our masterpiece. His eyes met Brocker's. They held a deep, unwavering gaze. No interruptions. No hesitation. Brocker nodded. His face was set with determination. He understood the gravity of the moment. This final creation, this would be their legacy. The heat in the workshop intensified. It pressed in on them. The air crackled with anticipation. Sparks danced like tiny, fiery sprites. They whirled up towards the smoky ceiling. Loki watched from the shadows. His face was a mask of fury. He had failed twice. The golden boar and the ring, they had been perfect, flawless, but he still had one chance. He could not let them win. Not now. Not when victory was so close. He had to stop them. No matter the cost. No matter how vicious his attack. Sindri began to hammer the iron. Each blow was precise. It rang through the workshop. The sound vibrated in Brocker's chest. He pumped the bellows steadily. The rhythm was perfect. The metal began to glow. It pulsed with an inner light. Red, then orange, then a brilliant, blinding white. Sindri shaped it with masterful strokes. He worked with an almost divine grace. Loki felt a surge of desperation. He had to act. Now, he gathered his trickster's magic. He focused his wicked intent. He would strike at Brocker's most vulnerable point. He transformed, not into a fly this time, but into a biting gnat, smaller, swifter, almost invisible. He flitted through the air. He circled Brocker's head. Brocker was focused. His eyes were fixed on the bellows. His hands moved with tireless precision. He breathed in the hot, smoky air. He breathed out steady, even breaths. The gnat darted. It aimed for Brocker's left eyelid. It landed with a sharp, stinging bite. Brocker cried out. A jolt of pain shot through him. He blinked hard, his vision blurred. Tears welled in his eye. Then a warm, sticky liquid trickled down his cheek. Blood. The gnat had bitten deep. His vision was obscured. The world swam before him. The forge, Sindri, the glowing metal, all became a hazy, indistinct shape. He tried to clear his eye. For a fleeting moment, Brocker faltered. His hand paused on the bellows. The rhythmic asterisk whoosh of air stopped, just for a heartbeat, a breath. Then he forced himself to resume. He pumped the bellows again, but the rhythm was broken. The flow was uneven. The heat in the forge wavered, just for a fraction of a second. Sindri noticed. He felt the subtle shift. His brow furrowed slightly, but he continued to hammer. He worked through the slight interruption. He pressed on. Brocker wiped his eye with the back of his hand. The blood smeared across his cheek. He blinked again. His vision was still blurry, but he pushed through the pain. He would not let Loki win. Not now. Not after all their hard work. He focused on the rhythm. He ignored the throbbing pain. He ignored the obscured vision. Sindri continued to shape the metal. It took form, a mighty hammer. Its head was broad and heavy. It gleamed with a raw power. The handle began to emerge. But because of that brief falter, that momentary interruption, the handle was shorter. Shorter than it should have been. Shorter than Sindri had intended. Yet it was completed. A weapon of immense power, a tool of pure might. It pulsed with a raw, untamed energy. It was beautiful and terrible. Sindri lifted it from the forge. It cooled quickly. The radiant white faded to a deep, dark gray. was heavy, so incredibly heavy. "This," Sindri said. His voice was filled with awe. "This is Mjolnir." The name resonated in the workshop. It hummed with power. Thor's hammer. He held it aloft. It seemed to hum in his hand. A low, resonant thrum. It was alive. It vibrated with a hidden strength. "It will never miss its mark," Sindri explained. His voice was quiet, filled with reverence. "It will always return to the wielder's hand." Brokkr stared at it. His eyes still stung, but he felt a surge of pride. Despite Loki's wicked trick, they had done it. They had forged a masterpiece. Loki, having resumed his normal form, watched from the shadows. His face was contorted with frustration. He had tried. He had truly tried, but they had still succeeded. The hammer was powerful. He could feel its immense strength. It radiated from the dark metal. He hated it. He hated them, but he could not deny its magnificence. Sindri carefully wrapped Mjolnir. He placed it with the golden boar and the ring. The three treasures lay side by side, each one a testament to their skill. The workshop was quiet now. The roar of the forge had died down. Only the faint crackle of cooling embers remained. The air was thick with the smell of metal and smoke. Brokkr sighed. He was exhausted. His arm ached from the bellows. His eye throbbed with pain, but he was also triumphant. They had done it. "We are ready," Sindri announced. His voice was calm, composed. "We will present our gifts." He looked at Brokkr. A rare smile touched his lips. "And we will win." Brokkr returned the smile. A tired but proud grin. He knew it too. They had faced Loki's trickery. They had overcome it. They had created wonders. They gathered their treasures. Sindri carried Mjolnir with great care. Brokkr carried the golden boar and the ring. They stepped out of the workshop. The sun was setting. The sky was ablaze with color. Orange, pink, and purple swirled above them, a fitting backdrop for their victory. They walked towards the great hall, where the gods awaited, where the judgment would be made, where their fate would be decided. Loki followed behind them. His steps were heavy. His mind churned with bitter thoughts. He had failed. He had lost. He would not let them enjoy their triumph. He would find a way. A trick, a word, something to twist the outcome. He was Loki, the trickster. He never truly gave up. But for now, the hammer pulsed with power. Its short handle, a small imperfection, a testament to Loki's desperation, but also to Brokkr's resilience. The air around Mjolnir seemed to shimmer. It hummed with a deep, resonant power. It was a weapon forged for a god, a weapon of legend. Brokkr felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had endured. He had persevered. He had helped create something truly extraordinary. The thought of Thor wielding Mjolnir filled him with pride. Thor, the mighty god of thunder. He would be worthy of this hammer. The short handle would not matter. Its power was undeniable. Its purpose clear: to protect Asgard, to defend the realms. Sindri walked with quiet confidence. He knew the quality of his work. He knew the power of their creations. He had no doubt. The golden boar, Gullinbursti, would light the way. The ring, Draupnir, would multiply wealth. And Mjolnir would be unmatched. Loki's attempts had been futile. His malice had been overcome. The dwarves' skill had triumphed. Their integrity had shone through. Brokkr remembered the sting in his eye, the blood, the momentary loss of vision. He remembered the pain, the fear of failure, but he had pushed past it. He had kept going. He had pumped the bellows. He had allowed the hammer to be completed. It was a testament to his strength. Not just his physical strength, but his strength of will, his unwavering dedication. The gods would see. They would understand the worth of their gifts, the immense effort, the true artistry. The sun dipped below the horizon. The sky darkened. Stars began to emerge, pinpricks of light in the vast expanse. The great hall loomed before them. Its massive doors stood open. A warm light spilled out into the twilight. Music and laughter drifted from within. The gods were feasting. They were unaware of the wonders that approached. Sindri and Brokkr walked steadily, each step bringing them closer to their destiny, closer to victory. Loki trailed behind them. His face was grim, his eyes narrowed. He plotted his next move. Even in defeat, he was scheming. But no scheme could diminish the power of Mjolnir. No trick could undo its creation. It was done. It was forged. The hammer pulsed, a silent, powerful beat. It was ready for its wielder, ready for its destiny. Brokkr raised his head high. He was a craftsman, a master. He had faced a challenge, and he had prevailed. The story of Mjolnir's birth would be told. The tale of Loki's trickery and Brokkr's resilience. It was a tale of creation, of perseverance, of the enduring power of skill and dedication. The world would remember this moment. The birth of a legend, the forging of a mighty weapon. And now they just had to present it to the gods, to the waiting assembly, to claim their rightful victory. Brokkr felt a shiver of anticipation. The moment was almost here. The truth would be revealed. The treasures were magnificent, each one a marvel, each one a testament to the dwarves' unparalleled craft. They were ready for the judgment, for the triumph, for the moment of truth. The air grew chill, but a warmth spread through Brokkr, the warmth of satisfaction, the glow of pride. He looked at Sindri, his brother, his partner. They had done this together. They had achieved greatness. The weight of the hammer was immense, its power palpable. It was a force of nature, contained in metal, and it was theirs, their creation, their legacy. It would surely win the contest. The doors of the great hall beckoned. The sounds of the feast grew louder. Their moment had arrived. Brokkr took a deep breath. He adjusted his grip on the golden boar. Sindri clutched Mjolnir. They stepped forward, into the light, into the presence of the gods. Their journey was complete. The forging was done. The gifts were ready. The contest awaited. And victory was within their grasp. A hush fell over Asgard's great hall. Golden light, soft as spun honey, spilled from the high windows. Loki stood tall, a sly smile playing on his lips. He had returned, just as he promised. The gods sat on their thrones, their faces expectant. Odin, wise and ancient, watched him closely. Frigg, serene and graceful, sat beside him. Thor, mighty and strong, leaned forward in his seat. Loki held aloft a shimmering object. It was a ship, no larger than his palm. He spoke, his voice smooth as river stones. "Behold, Skidbladnir," he announced. He placed it gently on the polished floor. With a whispered word, the tiny vessel grew. It expanded silently, effortlessly. Soon, a grand longship filled the hall. Its timber gleamed like polished silver. The sails, white as fresh snow, unfurled. They billowed gently, though no wind stirred. The craftsmanship was beyond compare. Every plank fit perfectly. Each rivet was precisely placed. Its elegance was undeniable. The gods gasped softly in wonder. "This ship," Loki explained, "can carry all the gods. It can sail on any sea. It can travel on any wind. Yet, it can be folded small." He demonstrated its magic. With a gesture, the ship began to shrink. It folded inward like a clever origami. It became tiny once more. He held it up for all to see. The gods murmured, impressed by its utility. This was a gift of true worth. It was more than mere beauty. Next, Loki revealed another treasure. He reached into his satchel. He pulled forth a creature of gold. It was a boar, magnificent and shining. "This is Gullinbursti," Loki declared. His voice resonated through the hall. Its bristles glow brightly. They illuminate the darkest night. The boar seemed alive, though crafted of metal. Its eyes sparkled with golden fire. It radiated warmth and light. A gentle hum emanated from it. "It can run faster than any horse," Loki boasted. "It can cross land and sea. No obstacle can impede its path. It is tireless and swift." The gods leaned closer, captivated. They admired the boar's artistry. Its power was evident. It was a majestic creation. Thor, ever practical, grunted his approval. He saw the boar's usefulness. It would be a powerful ally. It would aid them in their travels. Loki then turned to Sif. She sat humbly among the goddesses. Her golden hair, once shorn, was now restored. It cascaded around her shoulders. It shone with an inner light. It shimmered like sunlit cornfields. Each strand was spun of pure gold. It was more beautiful than before. And for Sif, Loki announced, a crown of golden hair. He gestured to her flowing locks. "It will never lose its luster. It will grow forever." Sif touched her new hair, a shy smile gracing her lips. She had been distraught. Now her beauty was enhanced. She felt truly blessed. The goddesses admired Sif's hair. They whispered among themselves. Its radiance was undeniable. It was a truly wondrous gift. Loki surveyed the assembled gods. His presentation was flawless. He had showcased the gifts expertly. He had highlighted their virtues. He paused, letting the silence build. He wanted their full attention. He wanted their complete approval. He wanted to win this wager. These gifts, Loki began, his voice soft, are from the sons of Ivaldi. They are master craftsmen. Their skill is unmatched. He gestured to the folded ship. He pointed to the glowing boar. He indicated Sif's golden hair. They are treasures of Asgard. He looked at Odin, a challenge in his gaze. Are they not worthy? He asked. Are they not magnificent? Do they not surpass all others? Odin stroked his beard thoughtfully. He considered each gift carefully. Skidbladnir was indeed remarkable. Gullinbursti was impressive. Sif's hair was a kind gesture. It had rectified a wrong. These were powerful enchantments. They were gifts of great value. The other gods nodded in agreement. They were swayed by Loki's presentation. The sons of Ivaldi had delivered. Their craftsmanship was superb. Just then a commotion arose. The hall doors swung open. A figure entered, small and stout. It was Brokkr, Sindri's brother. He carried a large, heavy sack. His brow was furrowed with effort. He looked determined, yet weary. He had traveled far. Brokkr stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Loki. He ignored the murmuring gods. He saw only his rival. This was a contest. He placed his heavy sack on the floor. It landed with a thud. The sound echoed through the hall. All eyes turned to him. Loki's smirk faltered slightly. He had not expected such a prompt arrival. He had hoped for more time to solidify his victory. Brokkr took a deep breath. He looked directly at Odin. My brother Sindri has sent me, he announced. His voice was gruff, unwavering. He has crafted 3 treasures, Brokkr continued. Each one unique, each one of immense power. They are for the gods of Asgard. He reached into his sack. He pulled out a golden arm ring. It was exquisitely crafted. It glowed with a soft, warm light. This is Draupnir, Brokkr declared. He held it out to Odin. It is a ring of endless wealth. It multiplies itself. Odin took the ring in his hand. He examined it closely. Its gold was pure, unblemished. Its design was intricate. Suddenly, Odin gasped. 8 identical rings appeared. They materialized silently beside Draupnir. They were perfect replicas. Then 8 more appeared, and then 8 more. They continued to multiply. They filled Odin's hand. The gods gasped aloud. Their eyes widened in disbelief. This was true magic. This was beyond anything they had seen. Wealth beyond measure. A ring that generated gold. This was a gift of unparalleled power. It would enrich Asgard forever. Odin's eyes shone with awe. He had never witnessed such a marvel. He had seen many treasures, but none like this. He looked at Brokkr with new respect. This unassuming dwarf. He had brought such a wonder. He held immense power. The murmurs grew louder. The gods whispered excitedly. They pointed at the multiplying rings. They discussed its implications. Frigg leaned closer to Odin. She touched his arm gently. Her eyes reflected the golden glow. She understood its significance. Thor, for once, was silent. He stared at the rings, captivated. His usual boisterousness was gone. He was genuinely impressed. Even Loki looked surprised. His confident demeanor wavered. He had not anticipated this. This was a formidable challenge. Draupnir continued its silent work. Rings piled upon rings. They gleamed in the golden light, a testament to Sindri's skill. This was not mere beauty. This was pure utility. This was boundless prosperity. This was a treasure beyond compare. The gods exchanged glances. They knew the value of gold. They understood the power of wealth. This gift was truly extraordinary. Brokkr stood patiently. He let the rings multiply. He let the gods react. He knew the power of his gift. He had waited for this moment. He had endured Loki's boasting. He had carried the heavy sack. Now, his brother's work spoke for itself. Odin held the rings carefully. He felt their warmth. He felt their magic. This was a gift fit for a king. He looked at Loki. The trickster's smile had vanished. His face was unreadable. He knew the competition was fierce. The air in the hall crackled. The tension was palpable. The first treasure had been revealed. The first blow had been struck, and it was a powerful blow. Draupnir had made a strong impression. The gods were deeply impressed. They were truly astonished. Brokkr remained calm. He had 2 more gifts, 2 more wonders to reveal, 2 more chances to win this wager. He knew Sindri's craftsmanship. He trusted his brother's skill. He had faith in their creations. They would surely prevail. The gods continued to marvel. Draupnir was truly a wonder. It promised endless riches. It promised eternal prosperity. This was a treasure that would benefit all Asgard. It would strengthen their realm. It would secure their future. Loki swallowed hard. His carefully constructed triumph. It was beginning to unravel. Draupnir was a formidable opponent. He had underestimated the dwarves. He had dismissed their skill. He had been too confident. His arrogance might cost him. Odin gently placed Draupnir on a velvet cushion. The rings continued to multiply. A steady, silent stream of gold. The hall was filled with soft golden light. It emanated from the rings. It illuminated the faces of the gods. Their expressions were a mixture of awe and greed. They envisioned a future of abundance. They saw their coffers overflowing. They imagined a realm of endless wealth. all thanks to this one ring. Brocker straightened his shoulders. He felt a surge of pride. His brother Sindri was truly a genius. His gifts were unmatched. He glanced at Loki, a flicker of triumph in his eyes. The trickster god looked less self-assured. His usual confidence seemed to waver. This was only the beginning. Brocker had more to show, more wonders to present, more proof of Sindri's unmatched skill. The very air hummed with anticipation. The gods waited eagerly. They wondered what other marvels Brocker had brought, what other treasures awaited them. The silence returned, heavy with expectation. All eyes were on Brocker's sack. What other wonders lay hidden within? What other magic would be revealed? Odin watched Brocker, his wise eyes discerning. He sensed the power in the dwarf. He recognized true craftsmanship. He understood the immense value of Draupnir. This was a gift that changed everything. It redefined wealth. It promised security. It was a treasure beyond measure. The gods looked at each other, their thoughts clear. This was a truly remarkable gift. It would be hard to surpass. Loki's gifts were beautiful, yes. They were useful, certainly. But Draupnir offered boundless, infinite prosperity. It was a game changer. The contest was far from over. But the first round had gone to the dwarves. Their creation had captivated the gods. It had left them speechless. Brocker reached into his sack once more. The hall held its breath. What would he reveal next? What other wonders awaited them? The golden light from Draupnir shimmered. It cast long shadows. It illuminated the faces of the gods. Their expressions were a mix of wonder and anticipation. This was a moment of true magic, a moment of profound discovery, a moment that would shape the destiny of Asgard. Brocker's hand delved deeper into the sack. He felt the cool metal. He felt the smooth surface. He knew what he held. He pulled it forth slowly. The light caught its surface. A magnificent object. Another testament to Sindri's unparalleled skill. The gods leaned forward, eager to see. Their eyes widened. Their breaths caught. The next wonder was about to be revealed. Brocker paused again. A subtle smile touched his lips. He glanced at Sindri, who nodded almost imperceptibly. The air in the great hall felt thick with anticipation. All eyes were fixed on the dwarven smith. Now Brocker's voice resonated, soft yet clear, for the noble Freya. He reached into his satchel once more. His hand emerged, holding something truly magnificent. It was a boar, shimmering with radiant golden bristles. The boar gleamed brilliantly. Its golden coat seemed to pulse with an inner light. Its tusks, though small, were perfectly formed. They curved elegantly upward. This was Gullinbursti, the golden bristled. Freya gasped, a sound of pure wonder. He stepped forward, his eyes wide. The boar radiated warmth. Its golden sheen illuminated the hall. It was a vision of pure, living gold. Brocker gently placed the boar on the polished stone floor. Gullinbursty stood still for a moment. Then, with a soft snort, it took a tentative step. Its hooves made no sound on the stone. This boar, Brocker explained, his voice a low hum, can race over land and sea. It travels through air as well. No steed, no matter how swift, can ever hope to outpace it. He paused for effect. Its golden bristles illuminate the darkest night. They banish shadows entirely. Freya knelt, his hand extended. The boar nudged his palm. Its golden bristles felt surprisingly soft. A warmth spread from its touch. This was no mere trinket. Loki, ever the scoffer, interjected. Another boar, Brocker. I presented Freya with Gullinbursty already. A fine steed indeed. His voice dripped with sarcasm. He gestured towards the boar he had brought, which stood nearby, looking rather ordinary now. Freya, however, paid Loki no mind. He ran his hand along the golden boar's back. The light from its bristles danced across the hall. It was far more luminous than Loki's offering. Loki's boar, Freya mused aloud, his voice thoughtful, is swift, yes. But this one, he looked up at Brocker. This one is truly exceptional. He stood, his face alight with joy. He mounted the golden boar. Gullinbursty stood patiently. Then, with a gentle nudge from Freya's heel, it surged forward. It moved with astonishing speed. The boar seemed to glide. It circled the great hall. The golden light it cast made the banners shimmer. Freya laughed, a sound of pure delight. The wind whipped through his hair. This was pure exhilaration. Loki's face tightened. His jaw clenched. His own Gullinbursty looked dull by comparison. It stood forlornly in the corner. Its magic seemed to have faded. Freya dismounted, his cheeks flushed with excitement. Brocker, he declared, his voice ringing with conviction. This Gullinbursty is a treasure beyond compare. It far surpasses any other gift. He embraced the golden boar. Its warmth was comforting. The gods murmured their agreement. Even Odin nodded slowly. The difference was clear. Brocker's creation was truly divine. It hummed with power. Brocker bowed slightly. It is my pleasure, noble Freya. He allowed a small, satisfied smile to show. His work was truly appreciated. This was very gratifying. He turned back to his satchel. Only one item remained. The tension in the hall grew palpable. This was the final gift. Everyone held their breath. And now, Brocker announced, his voice gaining a new resonance for the mighty Thor. He reached deep into the bag. His hand emerged, grasping something substantial. It was a hammer. The hammer was made of dark, gleaming metal. Its head was massive, solid. It looked incredibly heavy. Runes were etched into its surface. They pulsed with a faint inner light, but its handle was conspicuously short. It seemed almost stubby. Thor frowned, a slight crease forming between his brows. He looked at the hammer with a puzzled expression. A hammer Thor boomed, his voice echoing in the hall. He stepped forward. He took the hammer from Brocker's hand. It felt weighty, powerful. He gripped the handle. His large hand almost completely enveloped it. The handle, he observed, a note of disappointment in his voice. It is rather short. He turned it over in his hand. Loki immediately seized the opportunity. A hammer with a stubby handle. What good is that, Brocker? Did you run out of metal? Or perhaps your skill failed you? He smirked maliciously. Brocker ignored Loki. He addressed Thor directly. Mighty Thor, this is Mjolnir. His voice was calm, confident. It is a weapon like no other. Its handle, though short, is no flaw. He continued, his voice steady. When you throw Mjolnir, it will always strike its target. No matter how distant, no matter how well hidden, it will never miss its mark. He gestured to the hammer. Thor raised an eyebrow. He looked skeptical. He tightened his grip on the hammer. Its weight was reassuring, but its short handle felt awkward. And Brocker added, his eyes gleaming, after it strikes, Mjolnir will always return to your hand. It will never be lost. It will always be there, ready for your command. He paused. Furthermore, Brocker's voice dropped to a near whisper. With Mjolnir, you can summon the fiercest storms. You can command thunder and lightning. The heavens themselves will heed your call. His voice filled with quiet power. Thor's eyes widened. He looked from Brocker to the hammer. He felt a strange vibration within the metal. It hummed with latent energy. It pulsed with raw power. He lifted Mjolnir. It felt perfectly balanced, despite its short handle. It felt like an extension of his own arm. A jolt of energy surged through him. Try it, mighty Thor, Brocker urged. Feel its power. He motioned towards the distant wall. Strike it. Thor hesitated for a moment. Then, with a mighty roar, he swung Mjolnir. He hurled it across the vast hall. The hammer flew with incredible speed. It moved like a blur. It struck the stone wall with a deafening crack. A shower of sparks erupted. The sound reverberated throughout the hall. A deep indentation appeared in the solid stone. Then, to the astonishment of all, Mjolnir did not fall. It did not bounce. Instead, it instantly flew back. It returned directly to Thor's outstretched hand. It settled there perfectly. The gods gasped. Their eyes were wide with wonder. Such a feat was unheard of. No weapon had ever done this before. This was true magic. Thor stared at Mjolnir, then at the dented wall. A slow smile spread across his face. It was a wide, triumphant grin. His eyes gleamed with excitement. Incredible, Thor boomed, his voice filled with awe. He hefted the hammer again. It felt right. It felt powerful. The short handle was no longer an issue. And the thunder, Odin asked, his voice low and curious. His usually stern face held a hint of wonder. He leaned forward in his throne. Brocker nodded. Command it, mighty Thor. He gestured upwards. Let the heavens hear your voice. Thor closed his eyes for a moment. He concentrated. He felt the power of Mjolnir surge through him. He lifted the hammer high above his head. Suddenly, the great hall grew dark. The torches flickered wildly. A low, rumbling sound filled the air. It grew louder, more insistent. It was the sound of distant thunder. Then a blinding flash of light. Lightning crackled within the hall. It arced across the ceiling. The air crackled with energy. A powerful boom shook the very foundations of Asgard. The gods cried out in surprise. Some ducked for cover. The air smelled of ozone. It was an overwhelming display of power. It was truly magnificent. Thor opened his eyes. He looked around, his face alight with exhilaration. He had done it. He had commanded the storm. He had summoned the fury of the heavens. He lowered Mjolnir. The darkness receded. The thunder faded. The air returned to normal. But the memory of the storm lingered. It was awe-inspiring. Mjolnir, Thor whispered, his voice hushed with reverence. He gazed at the hammer. It is truly beyond compare. He gripped it tightly. This was his weapon. The gods rose to their feet. A wave of murmurs swept through the hall. Their faces reflected a mixture of awe and admiration. They recognized true power. Even Loki was speechless. His confident smirk had vanished. His face was pale. He stared at Mjolnir, then at Thor, with a look of utter defeat. His carefully crafted plans had crumbled. Odin descended from his throne. He approached Thor slowly, his single eye fixed on Mjolnir. He reached out a hand. Thor offered the hammer. Odin took Mjolnir. He felt its weight, its power. He examined the runes etched into its surface. He nodded slowly, thoughtfully. His wisdom recognized its true worth. Brokkr, Odin's voice was deep, resonant. Your craftsmanship is unparalleled. This hammer, it is a shield for Asgard. It is a weapon of ultimate defense. He looked at the dwarf with respect. And of offense, Thor added, his chest swelling with pride. He took Mjolnir back. He felt an unbreakable bond with it. It was perfect. The other gods crowded around. They wanted to touch Mjolnir. They wanted to feel its power. They spoke in hushed tones. This was a gift of immense value. Heimdall, the ever-vigilant, stepped forward. With Mjolnir, Thor will protect Asgard from all threats, he declared. His voice was firm. No foe can stand against it. Tyr, the god of war, nodded in agreement. Its striking force is unmatched. Its ability to return it is a tactical advantage beyond measure. He admired the hammer. Frigg, Odin's queen, smiled gently. It brings both light and thunder, she observed. Her voice was soft. It is a symbol of strength and protection. Brokkr stood humbly, accepting their praise. His efforts had been vindicated. His long hours at the forge had paid off. He had fulfilled his promise. He glanced at Loki. The trickster god stood alone, his shoulders slumped. His face was a mask of despair. His grand scheme had backfired spectacularly. The contest was decided. There was no doubt. The gifts of Brokkr and Sindri far outshone those of Loki and the sons of Ivaldi. The judgment was clear. Thor, holding Mjolnir, felt a surge of pure joy. He had always been strong, but now, with this hammer, he was truly unstoppable. He was the protector of Asgard. The golden boar, Gullinbursti, stood patiently by Freya's side. Its golden light filled the corner of the hall. It was a beacon of beauty and speed. It was a treasure. Draupnir, the golden arm ring, glittered on Odin's arm. It promised endless wealth. It was a symbol of his power and prosperity. It was a marvel of craftsmanship. These were the true treasures of the gods. They were gifts of power, beauty, and protection. They would serve Asgard for ages to come. They would guard the realms. Brokkr felt a deep sense of satisfaction. His brother, Sindri, would be proud. Their reputation was secure. Their skill was undeniable. They were the finest smiths. The gods continued to admire the gifts. Their voices filled the hall, no longer with tension, but with admiration and wonder. The air hummed with contentment. This was a victory for honest labor. It was a defeat for trickery. It was a testament to true artistry. The dwarfs had proven their worth beyond doubt. Thor raised Mjolnir again. The hammer felt alive in his hand. He grinned, a wide, genuine grin. He was ready for any challenge. He was ready to protect his home. Asgard was safe. Its future was secure. The gods had their treasures, and the dwarfs had their honor. All was well in the golden halls. The light from Gullinbursti softened. The gleam of Draupnir settled. Mjolnir hummed gently in Thor's hand. The magic of these artifacts filled the air. The great hall, once filled with tension, now resonated with peace. The gods were content. Their realms were secure. Their treasures were magnificent. Brokkr bowed one last time. He turned to leave. His task was complete. His gifts had been accepted. His name would be remembered. The sounds in the hall began to fade. The golden light dimmed slightly. The gods' voices became softer. A gentle quiet settled over Asgard. All was well. A hush fell. It was a deep, expectant silence. The air grew still. All eyes turned to Odin. His gaze swept across the assembled gods. Odin cleared his throat. It was a sound like distant thunder. He raised Gungnir, his mighty spear. Its tip shimmered faintly. "We have seen much this day," Odin boomed. His voice resonated through the hall. "Great wonders have unfolded before us." He paused, allowing his words to settle. Thor nodded gravely beside him. Freya stood tall and serene. Their faces reflected Odin's solemnity. This was a moment of profound importance. "The craftsmanship displayed," Odin continued, "has been truly exceptional." He looked first at the glistening golden boar, Gullinbursti. Its bristles seemed to hum with light. Then his eyes moved to the magnificent ship, Skidbladnir. It lay folded, impossibly small. Yet, all knew its vast potential. Finally, his gaze settled on Mjolnir. The hammer pulsed with raw power. It rested heavily in Thor's strong hand. Thor gripped it with reverence. Each item is a masterpiece, Odin declared. His voice held undeniable authority, each a testament to skill and magic. He paused again, building anticipation. A collective breath was held. The dwarves, Brokkr and Sindri, stood rigid. Their small faces were etched with tension. Loki watched, a sly smirk playing on his lips. However, Odin stated, a judgment must be made. His gaze fixed on the brothers. A victor must be chosen. He turned to the other gods. What say you, Aesir? He asked. What say you, Vanir? Their opinions mattered. One by one, they spoke. Tyr, the brave war god, was first. Gullinbursti is splendid, he affirmed. A swift and shining companion. Heimdall, ever watchful, agreed. Skidbladnir is beyond compare, he said. It can carry all the gods. But then their voices shifted. A consensus began to form. Their praise turned to the final gift. Mjolnir, Frigg, Odin's queen, began softly. Her voice was gentle. It protects Asgard. And Njord, god of the sea, nodded. Its power is immense. He looked at Thor, impressed. Thor himself, clutching the hammer, spoke with conviction. It is my shield, he rumbled. My weapon against chaos. Odin listened intently. He observed their expressions. He weighed their words carefully. A slow smile spread across his face. It was a smile of satisfaction. The choice is clear, he proclaimed. Brokkr and Sindri, Odin announced, his voice ringing with finality. Your treasures are superior. His words echoed through the hall. Brokkr and Sindri exchanged a quick glance. Relief washed over their faces. A triumphant gleam entered their eyes. And Mjolnir, Odin continued, his voice rising, is the most valuable of all. He gestured to the hammer. It is Asgard's greatest defense. A cheer erupted from the assembled gods. It was a roar of approval. They clapped their hands. They stamped their feet in delight. Brokkr stepped forward. His chest puffed out with pride. He looked directly at Loki. His eyes gleamed with cold triumph. The wager stands, Brokkr declared. His voice was firm. The prize is due. Loki's smirk faltered slightly. He swallowed hard. The merriment of the gods faded for him. My prize, Brokkr insisted, his voice growing louder, is Loki's head. He pointed a stubby finger. As was agreed, a sudden silence fell again. The gods stopped cheering. They looked at Loki, then at Brokkr. Loki's eyes darted around. He searched for an escape. His mind raced frantically. Indeed, Odin said slowly. His gaze was stern. A wager is a sacred thing. Loki gulped. His heart hammered. This was a predicament, a truly uncomfortable one. But wait, Loki cried out. His voice was high and strained. He held up his hands. Brocker's eyes narrowed. No tricks, trickster, he warned. His voice was low and dangerous. No, no tricks, Loki insisted. He forced a smile. It was a thin, unconvincing smile. Only a clarification, he continued. He tried to sound reasonable. A point of law, if you will. The gods leaned forward. They were curious. Loki was always entertaining. The wager, Loki began, choosing his words with care, was for my head. He tapped his chin. My head, yes. Brocker nodded impatiently. Precisely, he snapped. Your head off your shoulders. Ah, but there's the rub, Loki exclaimed. He brightened slightly. A mischievous glint returned to his eyes. I wagered my head, Loki clarified. He gestured dramatically. But I did not wager my neck. A ripple of murmuring spread through the hall. The gods exchanged bewildered glances. What was he talking about? My head is mine to give, Loki explained. He spoke slowly, deliberately. But my neck is not included. He spread his hands wide. To take my head, Loki argued, you must cut my neck. He shook his head. And that, my dear Brocker, was not part of the agreement. Brocker stared at him. His jaw dropped. Sindri looked equally dumbfounded. You cannot take my head, Loki continued, pressing his advantage, without harming my neck. He smiled triumphantly. And my neck is inviolable. A few gods chuckled nervously. Others simply looked confused. Odin, however, merely watched Loki. His expression was unreadable. This is madness, Brocker spluttered. He was outraged. His face turned a deep shade of red. It is logic, dwarf, Loki retorted. He puffed out his chest. Pure, unassailable logic. He is right, Thor rumbled suddenly. His voice was deep. The gods turned to him, surprised. The wager was specific, Thor continued. He scratched his beard. Only the head was named. Odin nodded slowly. A faint smile touched his lips. Loki's cunning remains unmatched, he mused. Brocker was livid. He stamped his foot. But I cannot take his head without cutting his neck, he roared. It is impossible. Exactly, Loki exclaimed. He beamed at Brocker. Therefore, you cannot take my head. The hall erupted in laughter. The gods roared with amusement. Loki's audacity was legendary. Frigg covered her mouth to stifle a giggle. Even stern Tyr allowed a small smile. Brocker's face was a mask of fury. His triumph had turned to bitter frustration. He had been outwitted. Then what is my prize? Brocker demanded. His voice was choked with rage. What do I get for winning? Loki shrugged. I suppose, he said casually, you get the satisfaction of victory. He grinned. And these magnificent treasures. Brocker glowered. He clenched his fists. This was not enough, not nearly enough. No, Brocker cried. His small eyes glittered. There must be a consequence. He thought for a moment. His gaze fell upon Loki's mouth. A new idea sparked within him. Your words, Loki, Brocker snarled, are always deceitful. He walked closer to the trickster. Always filled with lies. Loki's smile wavered. He remembered a previous, unspoken trick. A time his words had caused chaos. Your lips, Brocker declared, his voice chillingly calm, have caused much trouble. He looked at Sindri. Sindri nodded in agreement. They shall be sewn shut, Brocker announced. His eyes gleamed with satisfaction. A small victory, perhaps, but a lasting one. Loki's eyes widened. His heart leaped into his throat. This was unexpected. This was painful. What? Loki shrieked. He tried to back away, but Brocker was surprisingly quick. Before Loki could react, Brocker seized him. Sindri produced a long, thin awl. He held a length of strong, sinewy thread. The gods watched, mesmerized. Their laughter died down. This was a new twist. Brocker held Loki firmly. Loki struggled, but the dwarf was surprisingly strong. Sindri worked with practiced ease. He pierced Loki's upper lip. Loki winced, a sharp cry escaping him. Then he pierced the lower lip. The thread was swiftly pulled through. Sindri tied a knot, then another and another. Loki's mouth was drawn shut. He could not speak. He could only make muffled sounds. His eyes darted wildly. He tried to protest, but no words would come out. The gods burst into laughter once more. This was truly absurd. Loki, the silver-tongued, silenced. Loki's face was a mixture of pain and indignation. He glared at the dwarves. He glared at the gods. He thrashed against Brocker's grip. The dwarf released him. Loki stumbled backward. He clutched his sewn lips. His eyes burned with fury. This humiliation was unbearable. With a final, muffled roar of frustration, Loki turned. He sprinted towards the hall's exit. He ran as fast as he could. He burst through the doors. He disappeared into the twilight. A trail of muffled curses followed him. The gods howled with laughter. They clapped each other on the back. It was a fitting end to the contest. A clever solution, Odin remarked. He chuckled softly. Even for a dwarf. Brocker puffed out his chest again. Sindri bowed deeply. They had won, and they had silenced Loki. The treasures are yours, gods, Brocker declared. His voice was filled with pride. May they serve you well. Odin nodded. They shall, he promised. His gaze swept over the gifts. Gullinbursti, the golden boar, would forever pull Freya's chariot. Its golden bristles would light the way. It would inspire courage and fertility. Skidbladnir, the magical ship, would carry the gods across any sea. It would fold into a pocket, always ready. It would symbolize their unity and journey. And Mjolnir, the magnificent hammer, would be Thor's constant companion. It would protect Asgard from its enemies. It would be a symbol of divine power and justice. These treasures, born of dwarven skill and Loki's mischief, were now permanent possessions of the gods. They would weave themselves into the very fabric of Asgard. They would be spoken of in legends. They would be sung in sagas. Their creation was a story in itself. The gods raised their horns in celebration. The mead flowed freely. The hall filled with joyous sounds. This day had shown the power of creation. It had revealed the depth of dwarven artistry. It had also, perhaps, highlighted the consequences of mischief. Loki, always stirring the pot, had brought forth great wonders. But his trickery had come at a price. A small, silent price. The treasures shimmered in the hall's light, each one a testament to ingenuity, each one a story waiting to unfold. The sun began to set. Long shadows stretched across the golden floors. A gentle breeze drifted through the open doors. The air was filled with contentment. The gods were pleased. Asgard was safer now, and somewhere far away, a muffled, furious sound echoed. It was Loki, still running, still fuming. His lips would heal, but the memory of his humiliation would linger, a reminder of his cunning and its cost. The treasures, however, would remain. They would be cherished. They would be used for good. The balance of power had shifted slightly. The dwarves had gained respect. Loki had learned a lesson, and Asgard was richer for it. Richer in magic, richer in legend. The stars began to appear. They twinkled like scattered diamonds. The night embraced the world, and the story of the treasures of the gods settled into the quiet heart of the universe. A tale of creation, competition, and cunning. A tale to whisper in the soft darkness. A tale to drift away with, into dreams, sweet dreams. If these whispers brought you rest, you're welcome to subscribe for more calm tales. A gentle, like also guides fellow night owls here.